And welcome back. It's definitely a big baggy jumper day today. It's lovely in the sun, but it's still a little bit cold. Now, we've come back a couple of days later and we've managed to finish the rest of the roof braces. Now, we do need to have these roof braces on. One, to keep the hoops well spaced and supported, and it will stop any movement when there's strong winds about. So today, what we're going to be working on is the door frame and maybe the window frame, but we'll have to see how far we get. So let's take a look at what we're doing with this door frame. Now this is what we're using to actually strap our battens onto our pieces of wood. It's metal, I don't know what it's called. I call it metal strap. I'm sure it's got a specialist name, but it's got lots of little holes and it's flexible and you can cut it quite easily to the size that you need. And it saves us having to try and drill through steel poles, because that's pretty much what these trampoline hoops are made out of. So this is the framing done for now. We're going to stop for today because we've got a few other jobs that we need to get on with. But this will just give the whole front end some structure and some strength. And this is really, really sturdy. I don't think this is going to go anywhere. Now this is quite a weight now with all this extra wood. And by the time we've added on the extra bits, the door and the back window, this is a very heavy structure. So our doorway, we've got it reasonably square. I don't think it's perfect, but we're going to just make the door to fit the actual framework now. But again, that will be done in the next day or two, obviously depending on weather. But there's a few other jobs I've got to do. I've got to do the plastic on the bottom. I've got to staple it to the actual woodwork so it protects the wood on the bottom a little bit from all the rain. This section of this particular plot gets exceptionally wet because all the rainfall just flows down the allotment and it kind of pools in this area. So I need to make sure that all this plastic is stapled up and trimmed and tidied up a little bit so it protects that wood from sitting in wetness all the time. So it's a few days later. Well, in fact, it's probably almost a week later from when we left off after making the front bit. Now, we've got to get on with doing the back window. Now, as I've shown you before in a previous video, the window itself is quite heavy and big because we're trying to use whatever we've got already. And obviously that's going to go down on the far end. So that's the job for today, getting that window framed and in place. Hopefully the weather's going to hold because all it's done is rain and rain. So let's get on and get this window frame in. So we've got the bottom batten in that will support the bottom of the frame of the window and try and keep it as square as possible. Otherwise we may have problems trying to open the window. This will also give it a little bit more security because the last thing I want is for this window to drop out. It shouldn't do, and the other window was quite strong, but then again the other window we used on the other polytunnel was an old bar fridge door. This is much, much heavier. So this is the window frame finished. As you can see, we've got lots of support to actually hold it in place, and it's pretty solid. It's getting exciting now. It's getting almost to the end stage. So with that back area around the window now done and complete, it's not going to go anywhere. It's really quite strong. We're going to start making a start on our actual door. Now, I would like a barn style door where it will open up in two sections. The reason why I want it like that, so if I want to have a full airflow going through, I can, and just leave this top door to let that air come through. Now, I want something on the bottom just to deter foxes somewhat, because they can be a real giant pain in the backside when it comes to polytunnels, and I don't want them ripping through to actually get through to the polytunnel. Now the top half of this door, I'm not sure whether I'm actually going to cover it with a mesh netting or whether I'm going to use poly cover. I might actually just use some fine mesh. Now, because we have made this by eye, it's not going to be exactly the same distance either side. So we're literally making the door as we go along, but we'll show you how we do it. We're just going to make sure that it actually fits.
So it should be half a, by the time it's on that hinges, there you go.
Yep.
Other side, right?
So now we've just got to make a bracer to go across diagonally, just to make sure that this door frame actually stays strong. If we left it like this, it would bow and warp really, really easily. So we'll quickly go and get that done and then bring it back. So we've managed to brace up this bottom door, so now we're just going to put some hinges on. Whether we get the hinges right first time is a different story. So that's it, that's the doors done. So we've put a little piece of wood here that we can just turn just to keep them closed at the moment. And we have two doors, so I can open up the top in the height of summer. But if I'm not down here, I can keep the foxes, well, attempt to keep the foxes out with the bottom door. So it's not the straightest of things, but it seems to work. And I've just got to decide whether I'm putting netting on this or whether it's going to be polytunnel cover. Really, I like the idea of the netting because it keeps it ventilated all year round, and I don't really want a high humidity. They'll have bolts on them to actually keep them closed. We'll have two separate on each side, but that is all the framework that we're actually going to put on the front now. Now, apart from a few tweaks here and there, all we're going to be doing now is painting the woodwork just to make it last that little bit longer, putting the poly cover on, and then finishing the beds on the inside. And obviously we've got to wood chip the path as well, because I actually like to have wood chip paths in my greenhouse. So that's it for today. We'll do another video when we get the polytunnel cover, which hopefully I'll be able to get it quite soon, because I really want to get on with it, get it finished, so I can start planning my plantings on the inside. But I will need a little bit extra more compost to complete the beds inside. So thanks for watching, guys, and hopefully we'll have the next polytunnel video coming very soon.